What I don't love is B.R.I.D.G.E.D.EI. So this is this week's SmartBrief, and they have a couple of blurbs here, like Black Caucus urges companies to expand DEI efforts. Major brands are pulling back on LGBTQ rights. And we're going to read how to usher in transformational change for ESG and DEI. And I just want to make sure, because I know I got a whole bunch of emails this week from B.R.I.D.G.E.D.EI, so I want to make sure I'm not missing anything in the other emails. If my browser will fucking work. Hello, please, thank you. Is that usual when doing collabs? So why is it that it seems rare for VTuber collabs to just be both streaming? I think it depends on what you're doing, right? Like if we played a game like, let's say, Escape from Tarkov, or like when I do the part-time super terrorist collabs, multiple of us stream because we have different viewpoints. There's different things going on. We might be in different places on the map, or if one of us dies, people still have something to watch, right? It makes sense to do something like that, but if we're just like yap maxing, it wouldn't make sense to split the audience between two channels, and it would make more sense to just have it on one channel. You request a Kirsche branded guillotine. I need to look for a bridge. We have the September community call information. No, that's not it. This is the September 11th SmartBrief. This was September 10th. Okay. So, yeah, there was a brief email. I'm not going to pull the email up because it's in my inbox, but there was a B.R.I.D.G.E.D.EI email that basically says how to utilize Hispanics. It says, welcome to Bridge Buzz, our monthly newsletter where we will share the latest news, updates, resources, and more with you, our extended Bridge community. In this edition, in honor of a Hispanic Heritage Month, you will find interesting insights and tangible opportunities on how to build an intentional market strategy focused on the Hispanic community. As we approach Hispanic Heritage Month, I had the distinct pleasure of talking to Jessica Riquarte, Chief Revenue Officer at Ads Mobile, the Hispanic Mobile Ads Network, and a Bridge board member about what this month means to her. The time frame of Hispanic Heritage Month, split between 2 months, September 15th to October 15th, is significant because many Central American countries celebrate their independence days within these dates, beginning on September 15th with Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua, and many other victories are celebrated in both months. As an industry veteran in the multicultural marketing space with 18 years of experience, Jessica has a unique mix of business and product development expertise, creative and storytelling skills, and is hyper-focused on the multi-generational Hispanic and Latin market. Here's an excerpt from our longer conversation. I'm going to pause and just reiterate again, just in case people are tuning in. It's not on screen what I'm reading right now, since it is in my email inbox. I'm not going to pull that up on screen. Cheryl says, Jessica, we're approaching 56 years since Lyndon Johnson first declared Hispanic Heritage Week in 1968. What are your thoughts looking back and forward on the effectiveness of this designation? Jessica responded, historically, Hispanic Heritage Month has given me pause. In many ways, HHM has contributed to significant societal changes that have led to some valuable developments in multicultural marketing. But failures outweigh successes. There's certainly more recognition of the impact the Hispanic community have on our culture and economy, but this hasn't led to widespread systemic change. That's an interesting way to phrase that. What do they mean by there's more recognition of the impact the Hispanic community has on our culture in America and our economy, but that hasn't led to widespread systemic change? Why would it? Aren't they supposed to integrate? I'm a little confused. Year-round multicultural marketing campaign strategies are still rare. Added to this, some of the campaigns launched in previous HHMs have really missed the mark. On the positive side, there's growing recognition of the economic power of our community. Recent research by our academic partners, led by Dr. Omar Rodriguez Villa and B.R.I.D.G.E.D.EI, provides immutable data-driven proof that inclusion is good for business. Cheryl responded, our industry goal is to help brands turn inclusion into business practice. I know you agree that brands need to recognize the growth opportunities that intentional, authentic marketing to the Hispanic community can provide. What advice do you have for them to accomplish this? And Jessica responded, more brands are leaning in and having conversations about best practices around authenticity and targeting. There is a growing drive for inclusion, and seasoned executives understand that inclusion needs to be operationalized as a business practice, which is, of course, our mission at B.R.I.D.G.E.DEI. We are here to help brands move from the conversations to activation. I strongly encourage brands to be a part of the Hispanic heritage conversation, but only if they are committed to be inclusive year-round. They should use this time to listen and learn, to be a champion for their employees who represent the Hispanic culture, and to create spaces that allow for inclusive innovation. With greater appreciation and fluency, brands can achieve an authentic, multicultural strategy that delivers significant business impact. Didn't Upper Echelon already do a video on how that whole narrative of diverse companies equals more success was already bullshit? He did that, but he also included in that video that he believes that DEI is on the way out and that people who are telling you it's not on the way out are grifters. He has another couple of videos that I've been linked that I feel like I should watch. But man, oh god, I don't know if I should jump into that ring, man. You're a Trump voting Hispanic? You think they want to include you? No, you probably don't exist to them. Cheryl responded, from our research, we know that businesses that don't adopt inclusion as a year-long systemic strategy will suffer as the Hispanic population grows. What's your thinking about how to respond? How can we help businesses understand the criticality of inclusion towards their bottom line? And Jessica said, well, as we both know, the numbers are there. The Hispanic population continues to grow. In fact, it will triple in size and will account for most of the nation's population growth from 2005 through 2050. Hispanics will make up 30% of the U.S. population in 2050, compared with 15% in 2005. In 2023, the Hispanic GDP in the U.S. was $3.2 trillion, the fifth largest economy in the world. Data gets C-suite attention. Hispanic influence in shaping cultural trends and consumer preferences will only strengthen with over $3.2 trillion in buying power. Brands that fail to engage now will lose a competitive edge and struggle to catch up in the future. That's where we come in, and I am profoundly optimistic. And so that was this one call. That was this one call here. And there was another email. I don't know if there's a link in here. It doesn't look like it. But this email says, thank you for signing up and or attending the B.R.I.D.G.E.DEI community call in July, as the Project 2025 manifesto is a direct attack on the practice of DEI. B.R.I.D.G.E.DEI member companies asked us to provide the industry with education as to its contents and the potential implications these policy changes will have on employees and businesses. Based on the feedback from the call and a request for a copy of the content, please find attached the B.R.I.D.G.E.DEI Project 2025 Quick Read. As there are 30 chapters to Project 2025, this document addresses the chapters we believe to be the most relevant to our industry. Please also note that we have included some additional information that we did not have time to review on our previous call. We have also received a request for more in-depth analysis, so please be on the lookout for a Project 2025 primer, which will provide additional analysis on the provisions in Project 2025 and their potential impact on the workplace, workforce, and marketplace. Additionally, we have set up a dedicated Project 2025 email for any questions, comments, or feedback you may have. We hope this helps illuminate what is included in Project 2025, and as always, we are here to help support your inclusion efforts in any way we can. What is this quick read? How many pages is this? Ooh, this is big. Ooh, okay. So this is the slides that they showed during their call in July, but they put it together in a bit easier reading. Okay, so how would I open this in Murderfirkin? Copy link address. Let me see if I can open this in Firefox. Nope. No, I cannot. No, I cannot. You think the biggest criticism of Trump is that he is not reading 2025? Yeah, it's not a quick read, but this looks like something that I'll have to figure out how to get archived and I can pull up in Firefox, because I don't want to pull it up in my email. But this is something I definitely want to go over with you guys probably tomorrow at the beginning of stream. But since we will tangent off of that, we'll go back to the Bridge SmartBrief that we were staring at. Of course she uses Firefox, of course I do. So this article, How to Usher in Transformational Change for ESG-DEI. Amid backlash against ESG and DEI efforts, companies need to adopt a transformational approach to these initiatives, integrating them into their core strategies, writes Nikki Gilmore of Evolved People. Transformational change in many cases involves cultural evolution and learning, and excellent managers are needed now more than ever to ensure that the cultural shifts stick and organized resiliency is achieved for long-term success. I have been saying that, in my opinion, all of this is happening, Bridge is happening, because they are foregoing short-term profit for long-term cultural victory. And this sentence right here says that very blatantly. Thank you, KB, for the link. I still won't be able to do that today, probably. But this should absolutely, if people were not paying attention to my bleating about Bridge since January this year, hopefully they will pay attention now. And this article comes to us from Thomson Reuters. And you know, I had to look this up, because I was like, Thomson Reuters? Do they mean Reuters like the Russian company? Like the company that everybody says literally just sucks off Russia and promotes Russian propaganda? That Reuters? Yes. That fucking Reuters. That is the same Reuters. Apparently, the Thomson company in Canada bought Reuters in like 2005 or some shit. So I was like, what the heck? Reuters isn't RT? Am I thinking of RT? Maybe I'm thinking of RT. Maybe I got them confused. Because, like, the name Reuters, like, triggered some fucking remembrance in my brain, and I was like, hold on. That's the same fucking icon. Reuters is not RT? Okay, maybe I got Reuters and RT confused about, fucking Russian propaganda. Reuters is shitlib? Okay, well, Reuters did get bought in 2005. Reuters not the same as RT. Freaking Canada media. Reuters is, like, a huge source of globo-homo. Apparently, RT is Russia Today. Okay, alright. TR is not RT. Why are they so close in lettering? Don't you, as a US citizen, free to pick propaganda for yourself? I don't know what you mean by this. I'm dying. But back to this. Using organizational change to embed your corporate ESG and DEI strategies amid the backlash. Revolutionizing ESG and DEI means treating them as transformational change initiatives rather than transactional tactics to better ensure their staying power and long-term organizational resilience. Reuters is shit, but so far hasn't reached RT level. Yeah, still, I only knew it as Reuters. I never knew it as Thomson Reuters, but apparently the Thomson company bought them in 2005.
Smash that like button.
Literally had no idea about that.
Push me in the algorithm.
Can I post a link to the thing talking about making the change stick that I was just talking about? That's what I'm reading right now. Reuters being bought explains the change. They used to be somewhat neutral, like other raw news conglomerates, but they weren't super leftoid and global propaganda until a while ago. Yeah, I had no idea that they were bought in 2005. I'd only ever known them as Reuters. Originally, Reuters was British, as long as you remember. Yeah, that's just my bad. Getting fucking TR confused with RT, I guess. They're like RT, but for NATO, I guess you could say. At their core, environmental, social, and governance, and diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI strategies, are transformational change initiatives. Similar to digital transformation, but historically, they appear to have been pursued through siloed strategies. Given the recent backlash, both at a corporate and a political level, companies need to rethink how they pursue ESG and DEI through a transformational and organizational development lens. In the recent past, many ESG and DEI efforts focused on short-term, transactional tactics, which didn't serve that strategy well. Given the recent backlash against both of these, through a transactional lens, while ESG and DEI can show immediate results, they often fail to create lasting impact, says Nikki Gilmore, an organizational development expert and CEO of Evolved People. Man, both her company and her fucking title sound dystopian. Fox Lady is dyslexic confirmed. I guess so. Instead, companies should aim for transformational change that affects the entire organization, according to Gilmore. This means moving beyond surface-level metrics and isolated programs, and instead working to integrate ESG and DEI into a company's core business strategy. Again, I have been calling this out since January. I am glad they are full mask off at this point. It only took 9 months. Embody the work! That's right. Steps to push transformational change with ESG and DEI. To foster a sustainable organization, leaders should take these 3 key action steps to better drive transformational change. And anytime a company comes out and says they're dropping their DEI departments, they're no longer doing DEI, they are lying to you. They are lying. They are not getting rid of it. They are enacting different ways to do the transformational change to bring about DEI and ESG as a part of everyone's job at the company. You will be inundated by it. You will not be able to escape it, which is why it's important for people with platforms and people with actual power in this industry to be able to talk about this and make some sort of difference. The most I can do is just scream about it. I've tried writing to people with more presence than I have, but I have not gotten many replies. They're just doing it under the table. Yep. Even today, you saw a smug Alana release a clip titled something like DEI is going away. That's unfortunate. I know she watches me too. That's real unfortunate. Integrate DEI and ESG into the company's core business strategies. One of the first guiding principles in organizational change is to set a clear vision for both DEI and ESG change initiatives. This vision must be communicated from the top by multiple C-suite leaders, including the CEO, to establish the direct connection from the outset that these strategies are core to the company's long-term business strategy. Don't worry that you're losing money in the short term. Don't worry about the people who are angry with your products right now. We don't care about those people. We're creating the modern audience. We are cultivating a new generation of more socially conscious people who will consume your products. This is a long-term business strategy. So even if there's some bumps in the short term, there's nothing to worry about. In particular, this vision must be clearly articulate in how it helps the organization achieve long-term goals and specifies desired outcomes of the initiatives, providing a roadmap for the entire organization to follow. Everyone in the organization. To get this right, leaders should conduct a thorough diagnostic analysis to understand the current state of the organization, says Gilmore. In turn, this data is used to set a realistic and aspirational vision that aligns with the company's values and strategic goals. This includes identifying the foundational reason, or the why, the change is being pursued. Understanding that structures are foundational is critical because you can't just expect people to change behaviors overnight. You can't just expect people to change behaviors overnight. But now is the time to force behaviors, as we know. And since now is the time to force behaviors, this reminds me, you're the only one that realized the public's average attention span is like 3 months? No, it's definitely pretty short. It's definitely short. I mean, I'm bad at remembering some things as well. So it's like I can't chastise too many people, you know? Can't expect people to change, period. And now is the time for ethical cannibalism. I lost what I was gonna say. What was I gonna say, man? I hate when my brain does this. You can't expect people to change behaviors overnight. And this is also, Cheryl had talked about in one of the things we had read, where companies have a responsibility to change consumer opinion. I think it wasn't actually Cheryl. I think it was the other DEI After 5 interview with the Dartmouth professor. These people don't study history. Forcing belief/change never works out in the long run. You know, real communism just hasn't been tried. Whoever the hell Robbie Starbuck is bought into the hey we won, DEI is going away. He very much did, and it's very sad because he does have a large platform. He does have large reach. He does have industry connections. He does have the ability to make a difference. So it's very disappointing that he's bought into the we're winning, it's going away narrative. And I wish I could kind of like get the attention of some of those people. I've tried to no avail. Sounds too much like conditioning people. It is. Forced behavior, I've read that. I don't know. I feel kind of disappointed, I guess. Because even if you don't know about Bridge, even if you don't know who I am, right? Even if you don't know about all the stuff I've been talking about since January, because, like, who the fuck am I? How do you not even question that all of these companies in lockstep have decided we're going to change the language, we're going to drop DEI, like, every single company who's been pushing this for over a decade and who ramped it up exponentially since the death of St. Floyd, that's mentioned in every one of their articles. When all of them in lockstep start saying, oh, we're just gonna stop, we're not gonna do this anymore. When the HR company comes out and says, we're changing our language, we're getting rid of the word equity because we need to bring everyone into this inclusive conversation. We need everyone on board in order to enact transformational cultural change. Like, how do you not question, wait a minute, something seems a little fishy here, right? Like, it feels like it's normal to see all of that and be like, I might not know what's happening, but I know something doesn't feel right, right? Like, that just seems like it makes sense. A common challenge for transformational change, however, is that it is long-term, and often conflicts can come up in the short term that become a higher priority. Thus, it is easy for organizations to get distracted and off course. When, not if, this occurs, it is critical to consistently return to the why and distill with clarity how ESG or DEI helps the organization to deliver on its goals. Another key mechanism for weaving ESG and DEI into the fabric of the organization's overall strategy is develop a comprehensive plan that ensures that these goals are reflected in performance metrics and employees' annual reviews. For ESG specifically, changing financial workflows and enterprise risk management processes is better integrate these initiatives also is an effective way to ensure they become embedded in the core operation of the business. Another related consideration that impacts how much DEI and ESG initiatives are integrated into business operations is how resistance shows up and from whom. To effectively manage change, Shane Lloyd, Chief Diversity Officer at Baker Tilly, said that he advises change leaders, by the way, to segment audiences between proponents, opponents, and persuadables, and gauge how much power and authority each group possesses to help or hinder the work. This is like when all of the games journalists and people at Sweet Baby are just like, yeah, these chuds aren't going to have any games to buy soon. These games aren't made for you. We want you out of the gaming community. All right, they perceive you as not a risk, which is why you must become a risk. Even though they are trying to forgo short-term profit for long-term cultural change, they still take damage, even if it's tiny dot or chip damage, from massive amounts of people refusing to buy their products. That is something that you as an average person can do. You might not be able to wage a war, but you can still harm them financially. And hopefully, eventually, with enough financial impact, something can be noticed. Change Führers, if you will. Vote with our money. We know we cannot get 100% of people on board, but everyone needs the opportunity to be in two-way communication with the leaders so that their perspective can be accounted for. 2, wow, who would have thought? Reshape the language to focus on performance. Another crucial step is to reformulate the language around these initiatives, shifting the focus towards performance-oriented goals. To do this, leaders need to make clear why ESG and DEI are important. I have found myself talking to CEOs about performance and about organizational development, leadership development, and belonging, and not using words like diversity that perpetuate it as a non-integrated strategy, says Gilmore.
Spicy cat raid. What the hell is this spicy cat raid?
Unqualified Delta Jack, thank you for the raid. Welcome, Raiders. Welcome, Raiders. When it is not consistently aligned with performance, it becomes at risk of being siphoned off, isolated, and overly scrutinized. This is just like, whoa, they found out what we actually meant by diversity. It's time to change it. Lloyd agrees, recommending that it is critical for leaders to repeatedly communicate how DEI spans training, leadership development, talent management, recruitment, and business operations. More specifically, a diverse workforce might be one of the mechanisms to achieve one of the organization's long-term goals. From the perspective of sustainability, for example, one need not use words environmental and social to describe key actions. This is also interesting that they're saying, like, explain why. Leaders need to make clear why ESG and DEI are important, recommending that it's critical for leaders to repeatedly communicate how DEI does this. It reminds me of the Kim Belair clip where she's like, if they won't give you what you want, sit down with their HR, sit down with their marketing leaders, and explain to them, strike fear into them, how they need you. Though an engaged and skilled workforce is a key social element, committed and capable employees can be critical to navigating the current and future labyrinth of obstacles in a turbulent economic landscape. The obstacles of a turbulent economic landscape, that's you. You guys are the turbulent economic landscape with your boycotts and your I'm not gonna buy your video games. One of the past mistakes in setting up the DEI and sustainability functions was siloing them into the company's human resources and marketing functions, respectively, with no budget and no power to drive change. Both budgets and the power to drive change are key ingredients to signal that both DEI and sustainability are important. The very first thing we spoke about in January, when I started talking about B.R.I.D.G.E.DEI, the very first thing was how B.R.I.D.G.E.'s intention was to expand DEI beyond human resources and beyond marketing. Because the only way to enact lasting cultural change is to make sure that it's not just sectioned off with a few people, but to make sure that it is the job of everyone at the company and that everyone knows how important and morally imperative this work is. 3. Invest in manager excellence. Transformational change in many cases involves cultural evolution and learning, and excellent managers are needed now more than ever to ensure that the cultural shifts stick and organizational resiliency is achieved for long-term success. Indeed, cultural evolution is an essential element of organizational development. Cultural evolution is an essential element of organizational development. Manager hate. Because culture is the daily manifestation of an organization's explicit performance expectations and its implicit behavioral norms, what is rewarded, what is tolerated, what is overlooked, and what is punished, culture is delivered through employees' day-to-day interactions, many of which are influenced by leaders and managers. I like how they're using this as like a little double entendre here, because in this article, they're using culture in the sentence structure to mean specific corporate culture. Right, how like in the past people would be like, oh, this corporate culture is like a boys club, right? But based on everything else they're saying, and also the cultural shifts and the long-term success, they're also meaning an overall cultural revolution, especially in the fact that we know that they're also trying to change consumer opinion on top of changing the inside of their industries. Therefore, doubling down to promote manager excellence and create 21st century leaders who have the skills to foster workplaces that exemplify healthy norms and respectful communication and encourage productive disagreement is critical, especially as a means to uphold a shared commitment to employees, the community, and the company's overall mission. It also helps when leaders and managers approach mistakes with grace while maintaining accountability without harshness. The key to successful ESG and DEI implementation lies in approaching these initiatives as drivers of transformational change, integrating them into the company's core business strategies, and fostering a culture of excellence through skilled management. By reframing these efforts in terms of performance and long-term organizational resilience, companies can create lasting impact and navigate the challenges of our ever-evolving business landscape. I like how they're saying reframing them in terms of performance, because we know they don't actually go by performance metrics. Musk woke up to just how bad things are. Thing is, he likely won't do anything against it. I mean, if Musk ever tweets anything about Bridge, I will pee my pants. I will pee. And so, since at the beginning here, I noticed, Reuters is a name I recognize, but I've never heard of Thomson Reuters, which is what made me look up, like, what the fuck is this? Is it the same as regular Reuters? Which, yes, Thomson just bought them in 2005. It made me look at their board of directors to see whom's the fuck is on here. And David Thompson, chairman, Thomson Reuters, chairman, the Woodbridge Company Limited. David is chairman of Thomson Reuters. He is also a chairman of Woodbridge, the Thompson Family Investment Company, and chairman of the Globe and Mail Inc., a Canadian media company. David is an active private investor with a focus on real estate and serves on the boards of several private companies. David has a master's from Cambridge University. And I find this really interesting because it seems like a lot of real estate companies tend to dabble in this stuff. When we looked up Enthusiast Gaming and the ties that they have to content creators as well, that was when we went down Eastmore and Greywood. And Eastmore and Greywood were the same company. They ended up changing names, and they had a lot of business filings and in foreign countries as well for stock manipulation. And they were a real estate company that ended up buying into Enthusiast Gaming and trying to inundate it with DEI nonsense. Because real estate companies want to buy all of the land from under you. And I asked KB if he could help me out here, because these are a lot of people, and I needed some help. He was a beautiful, dirty little digger, and KB found some information on some of these people. We have the Canadian Encyclopedia here. Canada's rich, troubled Thompson family. And this is a massive article. Like, as you can see as I'm scrolling, this is huge and long, and I'm not going to read the whole thing. But the relevant part is thankfully in the beginning. This article was originally published in Maclean's magazine on May 8th, 2006. Partner content is not updated. On March 10th, 2006, Benjamin James Ludwig Thompson, the future Lord Thompson of Fleet and Heir to the country's greatest fortune, was born in Toronto. Not a mention of it was made in mainstream Canadian media, not even a birth notice. Also unreported was the fact that little Benjamin's father, David Thompson, chairman of Thompson Corp., signed an application for divorce from his son's mother, Lori Ludwig, that very day. A server arrived at the new mother's door with the papers 3 hours after she returned home from the hospital. In itself, the tale appears little more than a sad example of a marital fragility. That and rich fodder for dinner party chatter at well-heeled Toronto addresses. But we've had previous glimpses of David Thompson's eccentricities. A historical Rosedale mansion purchased for $2.6 million in 1988 that was left to fall into squalor when the city scuttled his renovation plans. His dramatic pronouncements on the state of his soul, "I am absolutely compelled to follow my feelings, or I forfeit the right to live." So the story, fraught with dark Gothic symmetry, invites curiosity. It also comes on the heels of a more public revelation involving Taylor Thompson, David's younger sister, that surfaced with the unsealing in February of a U.S. federal indictment charging Anthony Pellisano, the notorious Los Angeles private detective, and 7 others, with 112 counts of racketeering, conspiracy, and other charges. The case has been dubbed Hollywood's Watergate, given the industry insiders and celebrities dragged into its web, such as Steven Spielberg, Nicole Kidman, Sylvester Stallone. The indictment added to that list lesser figures like Michael Kolesa, the father of Taylor Thompson's child, and Pamela Miller, his former nanny, as targets in an alleged espionage operation by Pellisano, whose expertise Thompson had relied upon in at least one past court dealing. Taylor has denied authorizing any illegal surveillance. The revelations suggest that the Thompsons, with assets estimated at $23.8 billion, are more troubled than we know. That they should find themselves in tabloid-worthy exploits is ironic. As newspaper proprietors, they have avoided ownership of tabloids as deliberately as they've ducked media scrutiny. Sensational disclosures also clash with the Thompson family mythology as modest penny pinchers, prudent deal makers, and benign barons of culture, whose good works include the current expansion of the Art Gallery of Ontario. It's a shocker that they own media conglomerates, right? You know? Why would he admit it? The Thompson dynasty, now in its 3rd generation, is as much a part of Canada's iconography as the Hudson Bay Company, which the family once owned. Roy, Ken, and now David Thompson have shaped our view of how Canadian money behaves. There's a certain comfort in seeing Ken, the country's richest man and father to David and Taylor, as kindly, unassuming, and a collector of folksy Cornelius Craigoff winterscapes who walks his own dog and compares prices at Loblaws. Closer inspection of the Thompsons, the 9th richest family in the world, according to Forbes, reveals a more complicated portrait of wealth. Their business holdings are a Chinese puzzle, with companies folded into companies. Most visible is the public Thompson Corp., a $28.7 billion global digital media empire administered from Stamford, Connecticut, with electronic databases in law, healthcare, science, accounting, and education. Then there's Woodbridge Co., the family's private holding company chaired by Ken Thompson, with assets that, pending regulatory approval, will include 40% of Bell Global Media, owner of the Globe and Mail, CTV Inc., 15 specialty channels, and 15% of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. The family upped its BGM ownership stake in December, bringing them into partnership with Torstar Corporation, the owner of the Toronto Star, BCE Incorporated, and the Ontario Teachers Pension Plan. Where have we seen other investors wanting into pension plans? Where I feel like there's another company, maybe similar to Woodbridge. I don't know, maybe like a color and a stone kind of company. Though the Thompsons are... Oops, I clicked on something on accident. Though the Thompsons are said not to meddle in the editorial content of their media holdings, ownership, and the allies that accrue has its privileges. Both the Globe and the Star have followed the Pelicano scandal, yet neither mentioned its connection to Taylor Thompson. One deemed newsworthy by both the New York Times and Los Angeles Times. The National Post, meanwhile, splashed the story on its front page. Editors in the Globe's newsroom debated whether or not to cover David Thompson's marital woes. That they didn't run a story isn't surprising. Few media outlets, including Maclean's, would report on their proprietors' private lives. That so little is known of the Thompsons can also be attributed to the privacy scrim that surrounds them. Accounts of their lives available in print are missing from newspaper databases. The Globe's photo department refuses to sell photographs of the family, referring calls to Woodbridge. The Globe, which has covered the business and personal travels of the Aspers and Blacks, has done little on Thompsons beyond running a front-page image of one of Ken Thompson's Craigoffs every Christmas. An army of lawyers and accountants stands guard many from the Toronto establishment law firm Torys LLP. John A. Torrey, son of the firm's founder, has served as Ken Thompson's financial advisor and Eminence Grise, I haven't seen that term before, for over 30 years. Torrey's alumnus Jeff B.R.I.D.G.E.DEI, president of Woodbridge and deputy chairman of Thompson Corp., plays that role for David Thompson. In preparing this story, Maclean's made a formal request to interview Thompson family members. Not gonna happen, said Beattie. Few will speak of the family on or off the record. Those who did, even on the condition of anonymity, reported back to Woodbridge, boasts Beattie. Like a Victorian novel, the servants know all, but refuse to speak, unless in court-filed affidavits. Toronto clams up when anybody has that amount of money, says a Toronto forensic accountant. Theirs is a world where trust is elusive, motives are suspect, and opportunists abound. Relationships are mediated by lawyers, litigation chisels away at personal relationships, private lives are defined as exclusive property and confidentiality agreements. Art is purchased to sit in vaults, and paintings are held hostage in marital disputes. Homes are collected in clusters as if in a Monopoly game. Lawyers shred diaries, and nannies follow dress codes down to what colors are permitted in which seasons. A father sits in a room among divorce lawyers, refusing to look at his newborn just feet away. In a culture obsessed with money, the Thompsons illustrate that wealth is not reflexively synonymous with power and happiness. It can also summon a sense of helplessness, to quote David Thompson. Gothic doesn't even begin to describe it, says a man close to the family. You have no idea. The first Lord Thompson of Fleet... Oh, this is the part where I don't need... This just goes into, like, their background. So this is like a background on the family. But this first part was what the interesting part was in relation to David Thompson being on the board of directors and owning Reuters, and then having this being published about the insidiousness of how they're trying to tuck away DEI and make it so we don't notice what they're doing. I feel like a very rich conglomerate family that is basically, for lack of another way to put it, Canadian royalty, is a very interesting tie. Their old money? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And also on the board of directors, KB found another interesting person. I believe it is this woman, Deanna Oppenheimer. Deanna Oppenheimer is a founder at Cameo Works. Deanna Oppenheimer is the founder of Cameo Works LLC, a global firm that advises leaders of early-stage companies and consultancies. Deanna founded Cameo Works in 2012. From 2005 to 2011, she served in a number of roles at Barclays PLC, first as chief executive of UK retail and business banking, and then as vice chair of global retail banking. From 1985 to 2005, Deanna served in a number of positions at Washington Mutual, with her last role as president of consumer banking. She is also non-executive chair of the board of directors at Intercontinental Hotels, Group PLC, and a non-executive director of Slalom, I don't know what that is, and is the founder of B.R.I.D.G.E.D.EI, a not-for-profit collective group of diverse senior leaders dedicated to increasing corporate and board diversity. Deanna received a BA, bachelor's, from the University of Puget Sound. And to learn a little bit about her, let me go over here. Mom, yum, 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 yum. Yum, 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 yum. So Cameo Works put out this thingy here. Her company Cameo Works is listed as one of the board members of PATH, and PATH is partners and donors like you who are the driving force behind our far-reaching COVID-19 response and our continued pursuit of health equity. And so this is from PATH, and her company Cameo Works is a board member at PATH. And over here it says, protecting essential services through policy. Our advocacy and public policy team worked to protect essential health services during COVID-19 pandemic while keeping sight of our long-term efforts to advance health equity through policy. In addition to advancing governments on COVID-19 response, advising, not advancing. In addition to advising governments on COVID-19 response, our team directly contributed to the adoption of 23 policies and guidelines, the financing of 49 budget lines for health, 25 policy implementation activities in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Kenya, South Africa, Uganda, Europe, and the United States. Key wins included helping secure more than $9 billion for COVAX vaccine, preparedness, and global health security via U.S. emergency supplemental funds. The DRC's complete fulfillment of its Gavi co-financing commitments, a 7.4% increase in Uganda's PHC funding, development and dissemination of guidelines for protecting essential health services during COVID-19 in Uganda and Kenya, and establishing a multi-stakeholder platform in Kenya to elevate civil inputs on the global financing facility. We also strengthened capacity of local organizations to conduct advocacy, including transitioning leadership of our research and development advocacy coalitions in South Africa and Kenya to African-led organizations. And the next page is diversity, equity, and inclusion at PATH. Advancing health equity requires pursuing equity in our own organizations as well as in our work. To that end, we recently completed a 2-year process that included creating a formal diversity, equity, and inclusion government structure, conducting a path-wide DEI staff survey, adding and strengthening policies and practices to increase safety and belonging. Safety? That's a interesting one. Launching employee-led people resource groups, and establishing a DEI advisory group. I literally am failing English today, chat. Establishing a DEI advisory group, a collective of 20 PATH people from around the world and from all levels of our organization. With the results of that path-wide survey, and with input from the DEI advisory group and our executive team, our human resources department, our Black Path employee network, and our LGBTQIA+ people resource group, we created our new organization-wide DEI strategy for 2021 through 2023. Our DEI strategy outlines 3 pillars for progress. Our people, we will become a more diverse and representative team at every level, and we will strengthen and sustain a culture of respect and inclusion to make PATH a safer and more just and anti-racist institution. And we all know that anti-racist does not mean not racist, it just means racist against the right people. Our business practices, to achieve lasting equity in our organization, we will pursue structural, sustainable change in the way our business operates, from our policies and procedures to our systems and processes. Our programming and public health approach, we will confront the inequities embedded in global health and design an even better way forward that is rooted in human rights, community leadership, and doing no harm. With partnership and collaboration, emerging threats to health and health equity can be contained. And this is a Nguyen To Nhieu. I'm really bad at pronouncing these names. Program Director of Global Health Security and Malaria in Vietnam. New has directed her entire career to public health, I'm dying. New has dedicated her entire career to public health and has responded to outbreaks of HIV, tuberculosis, and other life-threatening diseases. When COVID-19 arrived in Vietnam, New and her team established an online case tracking system with real-time reporting so the government could use data to inform its response. And I just found that this was really interesting. They have more pursuing health equity for women and girls, accelerating nutrition stuff. They have like the financial summary in here. It's an interesting report. It's an interesting report from Path, and it's also, I guess, a little strange to have this woman on the board alongside some like royalty family guy, both of them working for a company that pushes how companies need to operationalize DEI as a business practice. And it's also a little wild to see people who, for all intents and purposes, should be doing good things for eradicating diseases, talking about health equity and talking about how their equitable policies informed COVID-19 policy, including in the United States and the UK. She's a communist from Vietnam. The Arg Vile thing with the two. I can build you a deck. I don't know what the topic is. And more Path stuff here. We have the Path Strategy 2025. The world wasn't ready for this pandemic, but we can be ready for the next. We stand at a crossroads in global public health. COVID-19 has cost millions of lives, intensified inequities, and pushed health systems far beyond current capacities. The world wasn't ready for the pandemic, but we can be ready for the next. Our new strategy is designed to directly respond to the current crisis we face as a global community, to the needs and priorities of our local partners, and to their resounding call for the continued transformation of our sector. This shows their strategic framework. It's like a little cell here. They got values, respect, equity, integrity, innovation, collaboration, impact. You can see the advocacy and influence, expertise and evidence, diversity, equity and inclusion, continuous learning and improvement, trusted relationships, and operational and financial agility are all along the outside. On the purple part, equity in health, community-focused priorities, respectful partnerships, and inclusive innovation. Inclusive innovation sounds exactly like the bridge language when Cheryl Dijja was talking about how there needs to be equity in the way that products are created, equity in the way that products are distributed, and equity in the product pricing. And that is also on the 72-point framework, the IMAX that Bridge created as well. In the teal part, we have prepare for and respond to emerging health threats, improve lives with science and technology, increase health system capacity and resilience, and in the middle, advance health equity through innovation and partnerships. And once again, like all of these big parts, the ones that grab your attention typically are the center ones, but it's all involved with diversity, equity, and inclusion along the side here, inclusive innovation, and equity in health. Looks like a bullseye. Change is in our DNA. For more than 40 years, we've been evolving to address the world's most pressing health inequities. Recognizing the historic moment our sector is in, we wanted to go further than developing a 5-year strategic plan. Ah yes, I love 5-year plans. We wanted to revision the role and function of the international non-governmental organization, the INGO, itself, beginning with the needs and priorities of the people we serve. I need water. It's always 5 years, man, right? So we gathered input from 400 stakeholders across 50 countries, including local health leaders, ministries of health, public and private sector partners, funders of public health programs, and members of our own global team. Together, we identified the path capabilities most valued by our partners and used those capabilities to frame 3 areas of focus for our future: preparing for and responding to emerging health threats, improving lives with science and technology, and increasing health system capacity and resilience. These holistic properties, and once again, in Bridge, they called DEI a more holistic approach to business. These holistic properties represent an intentional and responsive shift away from the siloed health areas and piecemeal approach that have limited our sector's potential and slowed the rate of progress. Enhancing health system resiliency begins with investing in local talent and recognizing the capabilities of local partners. That's exactly what we aim to do over the next 5 years, said Nantali Mugala, chief of the Africa region. A clear and resounding call. As we gathered input from our partners, we also heard a clear and resounding call for INGOs like PATH to work differently and help move the sector towards a more equitable and effective model. To answer that call, our new strategy goes beyond what we will do to reimagine how we will do it. In that article, again, that she is a board member for the company with, not PATH specifically, but the Deanna Oppenheimer, whose company Cameo Works is on the board of PATH. This is exactly the language they were using in this article. They say that you need to remind them how you will do things in order to keep them on board, especially when there are struggles in the short term. We've identified 4 change strategies that will guide our efforts moving forward and help us become an even better agent of public health transformation. Equity in health, inclusive innovation, community-focused partnerships, and respectful partnerships. At PATH, we will still bring all the same capabilities and expertise to bear for our partners that we always have, but we will do so in an even more holistic and sustainable way. One that seeks to build and enhance local systems, to elevate local knowledge and expertise, and to safeguard everyone everywhere from the devastation of future pandemics like COVID-19. A bridge to a better sector. Working toward equity in health must include challenging inequities in current global health programming, pursuing new approaches rooted in the determinants of health, human rights, and country and community leadership, building capacity and recognizing the assets and strengths of all countries and regions so that when health interventions are needed, they can be developed with local science, local technology, and local industry. At PATH, we intend to lead by example. For 40 years, we've been a bridge between public and private, global and local. Now we want to be a bridge to a better sector. If we can turn in a new direction, not only at PATH, but all INGOs, then our shared future will be one in which the world's health systems have the capacity to respond to global crises and effectively meet the needs of all people. We believe that is the only future worth pursuing. And they invite you to read the PATH Strategy 2025. And here they have, we are reimagining the role and function of the non-governmental organization. Nicolaj Gilbert, president and CEO, says, approaching global health in a more holistic, inclusive, and equitable ways make our work complex or require more funding. But it's the right thing to do. Even if it's harder in the short term, it's the best way to advance health equity in the long term. Is she Hyperborea posting? They're all coming out and saying, don't worry about how hard it is in the short term. We are focused on the long term. A bridge to a better sector. As we respond to the crises and inequities of the COVID-19 pandemic, we must do so with an eye to the future and with the understanding that the challenges we face will only grow in number and complexity in the years ahead. We must find ways for global health to become even more inclusive and so more effective in all its forms, from financing and investment to policy change and multi-sector partnership. Working towards equality, working towards equity in health must include challenging inequities in current global health programming. We read this paragraph in that other page. This paragraph was also in the other page. In the next section, you'll learn more about our 3 strategies, and then they just reiterate the little global thing here. I just reiterate the little cell thing we already read. And one other name. A bridge too far. These long con freaks are dangerous to everything. Like I said, people will bitch and moan about the culture war and be like, I don't like certain people bringing their politics here, but it's like, it's already come to you, man. I'm just pointing it out. This has already been happening. I'm sorry you had to learn from an anime foxwoman on the internet, but the cultural war has been waging since before you were alive. And you are now thrust in the middle of it. You can ignore it if you want, but eventually it's going to come for you. Best thing about these idiots is that they always run out of other people's money before they ever reach long term. Yes, that is the one good thing. But it's just like, we need to accelerate them running out of money. We need to accelerate people noticing this. Do or die, true. She's sorry about your pussy, true. I am sorry about their pussy. It's insane, right? It's insane that this one article about basically the bridge tenants operationalizing DEI as a business strategy has so many like high-powered names attached to it. It's just like when I found Bridge and I was like, how are there so many companies involved in this and no one's ever fucking heard of it? How is that even possible? How is it even possible? And then the last name that KB got some interesting info on is this lady here, Kim M. Rivera, Chief Legal and Business Affairs Officer at OneTrust. Kim M. Rivera is the Chief Legal and Business Affairs Officer of OneTrust LLC, a privacy, security, and governance management software company. She was Special Advisor to the CEO of HP from February 2021 through December 2021. Prior to that, Kim was President, Strategy and Business Management and Chief Legal Officer at HP from January 2019 through January 2021. As President, Strategy and Business Management, she led corporate strategy and development, customer support, indirect procurement, real estate, and workplace functions. And in addition, Kim managed HP's worldwide legal organization, including all aspects of legal and governmental affairs, brand security, compliance, and ethics. She served as Chief Legal Officer and General Counsel of HP from November 2015 to January 2019. Prior to joining HP, Kim was the Chief Legal Officer and Corporate Secretary for DaVita Healthcare Partners, where she was employed from 2010 to 2015. Prior to that, she served as the Chief Compliance Officer and Head of International Legal Services at the Clorox Company, and Chief Litigation Counsel for Rockwell Automation, as well as General Counsel for its Automation Controls and Information Group. She is also a member of the Board of Directors of Kano Health Incorporated, and Kim has a bachelor's degree from Duke University and a Juris Doctor degree from Harvard Law School. That's a smile I wouldn't trust. And so KB looked up her company, OneTrust. And we get OneTrust appoints HP's Kim Rivera as Chief Legal and Business Affairs. A C-suite executive with a proven record of delivering significant business impact through business and corporate development, Rivera has spent over 25 years building trust within organizations spanning technology, healthcare, and consumer products. Most recently, Rivera served as HP's President of Strategy, Business Management, and Chief Legal Officer, where she led corporate strategy and business development, customer support, we already know that. Rivera is known as a strong and outspoken leader with a passion for developing people, teams, and culture in organizations. She was appointed to the Thomson Reuters Board of Directors in 2019 and to Kano Health's Board of Directors in 2021. She's also held multiple nonprofit board positions, including the California Latino Community Foundation, the Denver Metro Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Currently, she serves as chair-elect of the Board of Leadership Council on Legal Diversity and is a senior fellow and member of the Board of the American Leadership Forum of Silicon Valley. She is an advocate for and frequent speaker on diversity and inclusion, DE&I, in corporations and the legal profession, emphasizing women in leadership. Companies and boards of directors are grappling with how to effectively integrate privacy, legal, and governance requirements into their core business strategy and operations, because that's where the competitive advantage lies, said Kim Rivera, OneTrust's new Chief Legal Business Affairs Officer. Sorry, my throat was itchy. I had to rub it with my tongue. OneTrust is building the technology for trust and is uniquely positioned to meet the challenges of these demands by collaborating with customers and partners to design and implement successful strategies. I look forward to building on the company, business, and platform that OneTrust has created as we continue to evolve and define its legacy. Kim is an expert at evolving and integrating compliance and governance strategies to build trust as the core of the business strategy. Isn't that interesting? How, like, when you think about them using trust this whole time, you just think of, like, oh, she's been doing so well that, like, companies trust her to do a good job in her position, right? And then this sentence comes in. Kim is an expert at evolving and integrating compliance and governance strategies to build trust. And you're like, well, wait a minute. That doesn't sound like trust at all. That doesn't sound like the way I know what trust is. Hold on, wait a minute. She's the business mind behind what the OneTrust platform helps our customers accomplish, unifying privacy, security, and ethics to build trust. We're incredibly excited for Kim to join our executive leadership team and rapidly accelerate our ability to help our customers build programs centered on trust. OneTrust is a category-defining enterprise platform to operationalize trust. Operationalize trust. What the fuck? More than 12,000 customers, including half of the Fortune Global 500, use OneTrust to make trust a competitive differentiator. Okay, so this just sounds silly now. Implementing central agile workflows across privacy and data governance, GRC and security, ethics and compliance, and ESG and sustainability programs. The OneTrust platform is backed by 200 patents and powered by the OneTrust Athena AI and robotic automation engine. In 2020, OneTrust was named the #1 fastest growing company in America on the Inc. 500 with a 48,000% 3-year growth rate. According to the IDC Worldwide Data Privacy Management Software Market Shares Report 2020, OneTrust is leading the market outright and showing no signs of slowing down or stopping. OneTrust has raised a total of $920 million in funding at a $5.3 billion valuation from Insight Partners, Coatue, TCV, SoftBank Vision Fund 2, and Franklin Templeton. OneTrust's fast-growing team of 3,000 employees is co-headquartered in Atlanta and London, with office hubs across Australia, Brazil, Canada, France, Germany, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Yeah, that's a lot of fucking money. That's a lot of fucking money. This is another company, a OneTrust, that apparently is fucking massive, and I've never heard of before. Never heard of it. When people with loads of money and power start to work together in secret, be very afraid. That's pretty much what the entirety of B.R.I.D.G.E.I is. And then there's a little bit more about OneTrust here. A little bit more about OneTrust. Leading the way in trust intelligence. We believe what's good for society is good for business. Build trust and demonstrate impact with OneTrust. They have their like little markets here, little statistics here. We were founded on the idea that people want to buy from, work for, and invest in companies that demonstrate positive impact on people and the planet. These societal shifts, spurred by new generations and amplified by modern technologies, redefine what good business looks like. We believe every company can thrive in this new era. Today, alongside our ecosystem of partners, customers, employees, and communities, we deliver the platform that enables responsible use of data and AI. Together, we've built the #1 fastest growing company on the Incorporated 500 and category-defining enterprise software to operationalize trust and transparency. A message from our CEO, B.R.I.D.G.E.I. OneTrust bridges the gap between data activation and data risk, allowing organizations to enforce responsible use of data and AI that not only matches the pace of innovation, but propels it. I don't know who this man is, but maybe he always looks like this, but this is the face of a man who's like, yeah, I have a gun pointed to the back of my head, and I just have to keep going, man. Mini F, yeah, there's a little bit of a red square. There's a little bit of a red square. Was a mini F, we're red squaring. They have their leadership team. I haven't looked into any of the people on OneTrust's leadership team. So other than Kim Rivera, who again was on the board over here on Thomson Reuters. It's the only one I know about. Our culture. Uniquely you, just the way we like it. The key to our continued success is our people-first culture. We're committed to building globally diverse teams that fuel an inclusive and innovative environment. Creative ideas and unique perspectives are celebrated here. Trustworthy AI transforms our work. AI is unleashing new potential and new concerns, and we have designed a set of strong principles that integrate our ethical standards into how we approach the design, delivery, and use of AI solutions and services. We've seen from Amazon and a couple of other articles we've read where people are trying to apply DEI to AI and to have AI help them in their DEI goals. The featured initiatives here, they have a DE&I Council. The OneTrust DEI Council provides a voluntary opportunity for OneTrust employees to encourage discussion and spark change. Unconscious bias training, community grants, and employee resource groups are just a few examples of DEI initiatives led by this council. Employee trust groups, which is what ERGs are in other companies, they have ETGs here, OneTrust employee trust groups strive to promote authenticity and inclusion in the workplace while empowering its members and allies. The 9 ETGs are able, Asian, Black, families, interfaith, Latin, pride, veterans, and women. This is, I think, the first time I've seen one that says families, and also I'm not sure what interfaith means. Because, like, if you have a religion, you typically have one religion, right? You're not like, well, sometimes I'm Catholic, sometimes I'm Buddhist. So I'm not sure what they mean by interfaith. I don't know what that one means. Community organizations. As a part of our commitment to community donation, OneTrust currently partners with 4 organizations so we can help our goals together. And climate action. We've signed the Science-Based Target Initiative to demonstrate our commitment to setting and achieving an ambitious, science-backed net zero goal. So this kind of just goes to show you a little bit, right? How these Bridge Smart Briefs, they give you a very good overview of what people in the industry are reading and what they're taking to heart.
That like button, leave a comment, push me in the algorithm.
If you read these Bridge Smart Briefs, just like me, you will be months ahead of other people noticing the changes in corporate ideology. We knew in April that the corporations would be changing their terminology. We knew in April that companies were going to be obfuscating how they go about DEI. We knew in April that they were going to be trying to find ways to get around the lawsuits that conservative activists were bringing. And yet, in July, we had so many people on Twitter celebrating the death of DEI. It wasn't dying, it was doing exactly what it's meant to have been doing since they told us about it in April. You can spoil your friends and act like an oracle. Exactly. Exactly. Interfaith just means there are people of multiple religions. So, like, I guess the interfaith group is just like any religion can join it, I guess, is what that means. You're living with your company. They have a new term, seed. What the hell? What the hell? You don't know where they expect men to go? Sherm addressed that. Sherm addressed that using the word equity would be a turnoff to some people. And that using the term equity and sometimes even the term diversity would make people feel like they are excluded. So you want to use the term inclusion instead, so that all of those yucky white people and yucky white men and other men of other colors would stop feeling like they're being iced out of corporate culture and feel like they are also going to be belonging in the company. Because if you're going to transform the entire company, you're going to need some of those yucky people that you don't like to help you enact that change. But it's okay, you can just get rid of them after. The left can always count on the complacency of the right. Yeah, unfortunately. Unfortunately, man. And so going from the Bridge Smart Brief, like just knowing these articles are here, reading this one article, using the Bridge language, talking about how they're changing DEI, talking about how it's not dying, it's in fact getting worse because they have made people believe that we're winning. And then looking at the board of directors and then looking into each of these board members' pasts and just how all of these companies are integrated into DEI messaging, it makes... It's almost enough to black pill a person, right? Like, it's almost enough to be like, holy shit, this is massive. Hello, cheeseball. Please don't lick my leg. Oh god, I know I have a band-aid on it, but please don't do that. Reuters ESG, why am I not surprised? I had one little oopsie where for some reason I thought that Reuters was RT. They're not the same thing. I apologize for my mistake, thinking that they were the same company. Alright, okay. James Balls! Do not lick the legs. No, he can't lick my cut. That's bad for him. It's almost like a person of any group can be scummy. Apparently evil is inclusive. True? True. Us being alive is defiance. Never be blackpilled. That's mega cringe. Hard agree. Hard agree. Never be blackpilled. That's why like when I do read this stuff, I want to remind people like you can make a difference. It is not hopeless. If it was hopeless, the amount of propaganda they have to push out would not be necessary. They wouldn't need to propagandize anybody. They wouldn't need to make you feel like it's not happening if they thought they could just win that easily.